welcome to the Wise Take DFS podcast. I am your host, CK013. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I'm joined once again by one of Wise Take's finest DFS analysts, Mr. CamG333. You can find him on Twitter at CamG333. Cam, how is the second half of the MLB season treating you?
Pretty good. I've honestly, I've just been attacking the Rangers bullpen for the most part the last couple days here, and it's worked out pretty well. So that's been good. And tonight, I think should be okay. I was struggling at first, but then that Chris Davis 3-run home run really did well. I made 20 lineups, and I think he was on 17 or something of them. So that helped a lot. So yeah, pretty good though.
Awesome, man. Glad to hear it, man. Big things going on for Cam. He went on vacation, went to the Dominican, then he came back and he moved to Chicago. He's crushing the DFS world.
Setup now, so I got dual monitors with my laptop going because I don't have a webcam yet for the other thing. So got the laptop here, 2 monitors going on here, and boom. Yeah, it's a whole nother setup and everything.
That's what the
pretty cool.
That's what the 3 stand for in his name. How many screens he has. That's what that is. 3,
exactly.
3. I like it, man. I always get the 2-man setup because I got the laptop running here, keep an eye on the stream quality, all that good shit, and then I use this one for the, I know what it's like. But you had to top me though. You had to go out there and get the dual screens. Left the Apple world to get himself some dual screen action. I respect it though.
Now I can look at twice the info while we're doing these, so it'll make my life a lot easier.
You can look at twice.
Before, when I had the laptop, I had to triple finger on my laptop to zoom out of the page and then click the right link that I wanted to see, and yeah, it was a cluster. But
yeah,
this should be easier now. I can just read it off. I got a couple things going at one time, so
a couple things going, man. Now you can watch double the porn. You've got yeah.
Exactly.
I warned you though about the porn sites off of Apple. I warned you. It's dangerous game. So just be mindful of that. Anyway, back.
We'll stay away from that.
Yeah, we'll keep those tips. Those are for the premium members. Those tips right there.
Yeah, exactly. We'll give that one away for free there, but
yeah,
everything else is gonna cost you.
Exactly. All right, man. Back to baseball. We got ourselves a 9-game main slate here on Thursday. I like the size of it. I know you do too. We were talking about that before, but it's not the easiest. There's some decent spots. Some guys seem overpriced. Some guys seem okay but risky. There's really no dominant, definite answers. But either way, 9 games typically up our alley, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I usually like between the 6 to 9 ratio. That's probably. Joe probably heard that and probably got a perverted thought in his mind. But
I'm sure he did.
I usually like 6 to 9 games or something like that. It's a little easier to break down. Can really break down individual matchups. I think sometimes when it's 15 game slates, you're spending the whole day researching and you still don't even get enough of what you wanted. At least for me, I like to look at everything. So it's nice to have a 9 game slate to really be able to look at everything, and should be good. But I'm with you. I mean, just looking, I have a list right now with a bunch of the stuff that I look at just in a Google sheet, and no one's really popping off on my screen right now. I think Strasburg's the highest guy right now in terms of K percentage, but that's Strasburg never really gets me excited. So
yeah.
Yeah, should be interesting. Am I frozen?
Yeah, you are. In a pretty funny spot too. That was good. There he is. He's back. He's back with it. He's back like cook crack. I completely agree. Nothing really that jumps off. Obviously, we do have a guy like Strasburg on the slate, which is fine and dandy. But of course, who else would it be against other than Miami, the team that the ace killers, as we call them. All right, let's get this thing popping. First up, Steven Matz, the lefty from my New York Mets, visiting Nick Kingham of the red-hot Pittsburgh Pirates. Finally lost the game today against Trevor Bauer. Corey Dickerson was out, and then I think Marte got hurt, and that's what it took for them to finally lose a game. 76 degrees, 68% humidity in Pittsburgh. Looks like the Pirates are minus 158. Total looks like it's about 8.5 or so. What do you got here?
Yeah, man. I mean, they've just been really hot recently. Like you said, I think they've won 11 of their last 12 games. Tough matchup today going up against Trevor Bauer. I think we kind of expected maybe them to slow down a little bit, but they got to Kluber. They got to, who else was it? Shane Bieber, I believe. So, yeah, I mean, Matz isn't like probably the most optimal spot being a lefty, and the two guys that are pretty hot right now are Polanco and Dickerson, so maybe he'll neutralize them a little bit here, but honestly, I don't like really love the spot for them ever. It's the Pirates, right? They're always in like a pretty bad ballpark for the most part, unless if they're on the road like they were in Cincinnati. Now they're moving back to Pittsburgh, pretty significant ballpark shift there. And then Matz is just a guy who like I'd never really target, especially with left-handed bats. So there's a couple guys on Pittsburgh that have some decent splits in terms of versus left-handed pitching. If Marte is healthy, I think you could definitely take a look at him. Harrison's really cheap at 3.3 on DraftKings. Elias Diaz is probably going to be a pretty popular option at 3.5 on DraftKings versus a lefty. And then you get these guys like David Freese and maybe even Sean Rodriguez come in. And those guys are always relatively popular versus lefties just because they're cheap. Maybe people start hopping on the Pittsburgh bandwagon here because of how hot they've been recently. But honestly, I don't think it's a spot that I'm really going to go crazy on. I think if they were facing a righty, I would go back to it, maybe with like Polanco and Dickerson again, just to ride the hot wave because I've kind of been on it, but probably jump off tomorrow in the spot. I'm not going to pitch Matz, just a guy who's not going to really have a whole lot of strikeout ability. I mean, 6'3", maybe. I'll have to look at it again, but at first look, it doesn't really pop off the page to me. On the other hand, Kingham here at home, going up against the Mets. I think the Mets, I mean, depending what lineup they roll out tomorrow, I'm not exactly sure, but I think their lineup's going to be like a little bit tougher than in this second half here. I don't anticipate them like being picked on as much, or like me picking on them as much as I did in the first half of the season. Just kind of like a gut feeling, but I think Kingham's okay. Looking at his swinging strike stuff, I think it's at 11% on the slate, probably top 4 or 5 here. And then his strikeout percentage is like 21%, 22.7% actually. So he has okay strikeout stuff. He's got a pretty good slider or curveball, I think. That goes again. Slider versus right-handers. But in this spot, the guys that you're going to have to worry about are the lefties. Maybe like Conforto, he's been somewhat heating up, and Nimmo, but he's been giving up power to lefties, but I don't know how much I'm buying into that. I'll have to look into it a little bit more. I think last slate he pitched, I looked into it, and I think there's like regression in the positive manner for him in terms of like the home runs giving up home runs. I don't think he's going to like be a guy that we really want to pick on home runs versus lefties. So I think I'll just stay away from this game for the most part, honestly. Kingham's a little too expensive for me at 9.4.
Yeah, I agree. I consider Matz like a maybe for now, just because he is 6'3". But I agree. At the end of the day, we always talk about how in DFS, FanDuel DraftKings, strikeouts are king. Matz is not a super high strikeout guy. The Pirates not a big strikeout team. I can see a world where Matz does rack up a couple, depending on the lineup we get. Dickerson missed today because he had discomfort in his hamstring, left the game early before that. We saw Starling Marte left the game early with an injury as well. If those two guys are out, that would just leave Polanco. Polanco has been like the least hottest of the three. Like they've all been like all three of them have been doing well together, but he's been doing the least well, and he's also a lefty. So depends on the lineup we see from the Pirates. Maybe they throw out a little bit more of a strikeout prone lineup. I'm not sure. They did have to travel, come back to Pittsburgh, and obviously, we're going to see. We should see a different type of lineup here against a lefty. But I don't think I go here for too much. I think I agree with you. Not really wanting to play any Pirates, even though they've been hot. Big ballpark, things kind of change. Not really wanting to play any Mets either. But I don't want to play Kingham because also I think I'm worried about Kingham's upside. Like you said, the Mets are a team against righties that don't really strike out a ton. So I'm just concerned about the upside. 9.4 is kind of a steep price tag. And the Mets have been actually hitting lately. That's the other part of it. They've actually been hitting. Next up, Hunter Wood of the Tampa Bay Rays visiting Alex Cobb of the Baltimore Orioles. No total in this game or spread yet, I should say. 78 degrees, 73% humidity. Looks like it might actually not rain for once. What do you got?
So going up against Cobb here, I'll definitely take a peek at some of these Rays bats tomorrow. I really like Bowers. It's just the price has kind of caught up to him at 4 or 5 there. I liked him maybe like a little bit more when he was like the high 3K range, but I still think he's a good play. He's a guy who's been hitting really well the last month. He's got power and a huge ballpark shift here for the Rays going to Camden Yards in Baltimore against a pretty weak pitcher who gives up a lot of contact. So I don't mind the Rays in this spot. I would look at Bowers, Kiermaier. I think G-Man Choi's in play if he plays as well, just a guy with a lot of power. But those would probably be like the 3 main guys I would looking at, maybe like a mini stack for the Rays. I don't know if I really go crazy with like a 5-man stack. I'd throw in Dan Robertson too in there. He's got some power. And then on the other side, Hunter Wood here. I really don't even know that much about this guy. I would have to look into him a little bit more. I had Yarbrough as the possible starter when I pulled the stuff up from Fangraphs. So I don't really know much about Wood. So it's the same old for him though. If he has some show of maybe strikeout upside at 4K, you could think about doing it if he's stretched out with his pitch count. If he's just another guy who's going to be throwing the first couple innings here for them, I won't. But this is a Baltimore lineup that has been struggling, definitely. So I don't know. There's no one in the lineup that's threatening, so I could take a shot at 4K. Outside of Shope, I'm not scared of really anyone.
Yeah, I would look here, except I think Hunter Wood's another one of those 2-inning guys. The most look like he's gone recently is 2 innings. So even though he's 4K, even with the strikeouts in tournaments, if you're really trying to win, it's hard to fathom getting the upside you need from there if he's not even in there long enough to get a win or anything. Just another waste. So if it is Yarbrough, I don't know. Yeah. I don't see it. But yeah, if it is Yarbrough, I definitely think you can take a shot on Yarbrough against Baltimore. I know they don't strike out as much against lefties, but with Machado gone, they're definitely striking out more. So I'd be fine with it if it was Yarbrough. But without knowing, tough to say. The Rays, we know, you know, you're the one that pointed it out, are a really good home team. But at the end of the day, they're still kind of a bad offense. It is a good park for him, big park boost, but Alex Cobb at 4.9 is kind of interesting. He's been known to troll. This is his old team. Maybe he steps it up, a little bit of revenge against a team that kind of gave up on him.
I forgot about that.
But nothing exciting. I'm just trying to take some cheap pitchers. And initially, I was looking at Hunter Wood, and then when I realized that he was just a bullpen guy, I was like, okay, well that sucks. Well, you know what? Cobb's only $100 more, and he's an actual starter. Maybe he goes. So you really don't need a ton. It's a cheap price. Obviously, the Rays have been playing well, but when you look at their hard contact rates, it does look like they've cooled off a little bit. And Cam, again, you're the one that pointed it out that they're scoring a lot of runs at home specifically. Next up, Jake Junis of the Kansas City Royals visiting Sonny Gray of Paulie D's New York Yankees. Total in this game, currently 9.5. The Yankees minus 280, returning home, 83 degrees, 64% humidity. Looks like a pretty nice day in the Bronx. What do you got?
Yeah, so I just saw the spot for Sonny Gray. I could see maybe where like people pitch him against Kansas City. I just don't think I can do it. He's 8-2. He has flashed like games where he can do it, but he just always scares me at home in that ballpark. I know his last game he pitched really well against the Mets, but I mean 8-2. That's a lot of money to kind of take a risk on a guy who is kind of up and down here. In this ballpark, he just seems to really struggle, give up a lot of like power home runs. It's just not a situation that I think I really want to put myself in or invest in especially at 8-2. So I'll probably just pass on him. I could see where he would be popular though. Like, what is Kansas City? Okay, so Kansas City's at like a 20% strikeout rate. I think they've been worse maybe like this past month here. But I just can't do it at 8-2. It's just not going to be something I do. On the other hand, though, this is an amazing spot, I think, for the Yankees. Going up against Junis at home. Just a guy who's like an extreme fly ball pitcher. Gets a lot of hard contact as well. So he just gives up a ton of home runs, too. You can see it in his game logs, 3-3, 1-3-2. And in this matchup, like against the Yankees, I wouldn't be surprised if he gave up 3-4. And then another thing for the Yankees is they get the Royals bullpen, which is subpar as well. So right now, just first look, my favorite stack would definitely be the Yankees. And kind of just the route I see myself going, since we both had like a weird feeling about pitching, will probably be to pay down and just stack the Yankees tomorrow.
Yeah, I got to agree. We know the Yankees are a very good home team. I agree with everything you said about Junis. He gives up a lot of hard contact, a lot of fly balls. He gets protected by some of the bigger ballparks he gets to play in, like his own in Kansas City. This is not the right atmosphere for you to be giving up fly balls. It's going to be 83 degrees, going to be humid because of all the rain we had, so the ball should get a little bit of a carry under it as well. Not that you needed it in Yankee Stadium. I'm with you, man. This is a great spot for the Yankees. Greg Bird has been hitting the ball really well lately. One of the less obvious guys on the Yankees. And then Aaron Judge, one of the more obvious, He's just been smashing the ball, hitting it really, really hard lately. But I like them all, man. In general, they play better at home. Giancarlo Stanton, I know he's been struggling. He's been like hitting singles all day. But I mean, at 4-9 at home, you got to think maybe he turns it around. It's really not all that bad. So I agree. As far as Sonny Gray, I could go there. As of right now, like I would envision him being the chalk. I think maybe stacking Gray with the Yankees could be a very popular approach. I mean, we have other teams like the Red Sox. We have a lot of other teams to discuss. But I would think Sonny Gray being such a huge favorite going up against the Royals, who have been really bad, I would imagine that he'd be the chalk guy to go to. And as of right now, I'm okay with it. I want to dig on it, do some profiling. I know Paulie's going to be doing the strategy session tomorrow at 1, so try to see what we can learn there. But I know exactly what you mean. Like, if chalky Sonny Gray at 8-2 against the Royals in Yankee Stadium does have a scary kind of vibe to it. It does. He has been pitching well. I don't want no hate tweets from the Yankee fans. He has been pitching better. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he's a bad pitcher right now. I'm just saying that from a game theory perspective, it's always a little strange,
Very strange. And he's a guy like, if he's chalk, dude, and you fade him and he busts, like, you could be so ahead of the field. You know what I mean? Like, look at his game logs. He's gotten negative like 3 times in the last 6 games he's pitched. So yeah, definitely scary.
Definitely. When things go wrong for him, they go really wrong.
If he profiles well though tomorrow and I like him, like, I guess I'll pitch him. I'm just gonna hate myself if he gets blown up.
Yeah, you're gonna be feeling pretty stupid, definitely, as we all will. We'll see if we can find anything else. We'll see. Next up, we've got
Next up, no pitcher for the Twins.
yeah. I think it's Kyle Gibson. I'm looking at MLB.com. It's
That's what I
probable
have.
pitchers. Okay,
Yeah.
good. I'm seeing Kyle Gibson of the Minnesota Twins visiting Brian Johnson of the Boston Red Sox. Total here is 10, Boston minus 160. At home, 79 degrees, 75% humidity. What do you think, Cam?
Oh yeah, so I mean, I think Gibson's a decent pitcher, but this is obviously a terrible matchup for him. I don't think I can pitch him. I think he pitched really well against the Yankees. The Yankees are very more strikeout prone though than this Red Sox team. And you seeing something? You all right over there?
Oh yeah, I'm good, man. There was this huge ant that just crawled across my desk, so now like I'm on the prowl. I'm just looking for any more.
I keep I keep seeing you, and you're like looking around all over. I'm like, what the heck's going on?
Yeah, man, I got like carpenter ants around here, and like this fucking massive one just walked right across my desk, and I was just like, try to keep it calm, but I got his ass. But I'm looking. I'm looking. I'm gonna see if there's any more.
All right, I gotcha. At least I know you're okay. You're not like tweaking out or something. Yeah. So I mean, Kyle Gibson, I just can't pitch him tomorrow. 7-4, but we just saw what this Red Sox team was doing against Dylan Bundy, and I think Gibson like this year is probably a better pitcher than Bundy, but he still can give up his fair share of home runs. I don't think he gets like blown up or anything tomorrow, more than likely, but enough. Like at 7-4, he's just way too expensive for me to play him against the Red Sox, especially when the Red Sox are at home. We'll have to check out the profiles for Gibson against some of these Boston bats, but definitely at first look, I wouldn't like shy away or anything against Gibson with like a bat or two. Just try to pick off a home run with like Mookie, Benintendi, JD, Moreland, or Bogarts. Probably would stay away from the bottom of the order, but I think 1 through 5 is fine. Brian Johnson here, a lefty versus Minnesota, makes him interesting. Pitch count's been low though, 77, 84, 77 the last 3 games here. 7K, maybe a little bit too expensive for me there. I'd like him to be stretched out a little bit more if I wanted to go there, I think, but you could do it. I don't think it's the craziest move. Just as of now, it just doesn't seem appealing to me, but if we go through the slate more and see like less and less options, I think he would be a guy that would probably make a decent candidate to go on like the short list for the pitching options tomorrow. On the other hand, I think you could probably just take Brian Dozier against him, and that would probably be it for me. Mute.
Damn it. The Red Sox offense, certainly an attractive, appealing-looking offense. They're going back home. They look pretty damn good. Yo, how pissed are you if you played the Boston Red Sox tonight? Like, how pissed are you?
I had them as like one-off. So I made 20 lineups and I just stacked all the A's. And then I had like a couple lineups that had like JD and Mookie, or like JD and Benny, or just like single one-offs.
Right.
And I saw them and I was like, oh my God, because they lost their points, right?
Yeah. Yep. They lost their points.
Yeah.
That's like, and there were people like on Twitter that were like super excited. They were like, oh, if you didn't play the Red Sox, like you're in, you don't know what you're doing, all this stuff. And don't get me wrong, I thought it was a great game theory play. Like I even wrote the Red Sox up. I thought it was a great game theory play. But like I'm all for it. I'm like, hey man, if you had the stones to do it, man, hey, go for it. Like I'm all for it. And then unfortunately, they ended up getting canceled. It's kind of like, damn, like it was game theory wise getting those guys at 10 to 15% ownership on a 4-game slate. That was a pretty slick move. It just it didn't work out the way it was kind of supposed to, But damn, I mean, I didn't have the stones to do it. I wasn't doing enough lineups to take that risk. So I saw the weather reports. It looked too bad. I couldn't do it. But man,
yeah, I took Price out completely because of the weather. But then I was like, I kind of looked at the forecast a little bit, and I was like, I think they could maybe get like the first 3 or 4 innings in, and then maybe like they could fit in a couple more innings like later on. So I kept some of the bats in there, but yeah, that's about. I actually didn't know that they got negative or that they got like the points negated. So until I read that on Twitter, so that sucked. But,
Yeah.
oh well.
Yeah. But hey, it was a good game theory play for sure. As far as going back to this game, I'm willing to go back to the Red Sox. They certainly looked to be in good form. Didn't do much. Pretty much got an extra day off. So I'm with it. They're home. They play better at home. Good hitting environment. Good park. Again, Kyle Gibson is a guy I have played a lot this season, but in the right matchup, this doesn't appear to be one of them. And Brian Johnson is interesting. A lefty against the Twins. We've seen a lot of lefties be successful against the Twins. I don't think he's very good, but that hasn't really seemed to have mattered when it comes to the Twins. So I would like to take a look at the Twins, say it's a park boost, say they're in a good position. It's just really, really hard to back them right now because they have just been dreadful against lefties. And all the best players on their team are left-handed. So it's always tough to make a case you're playing guys you're not necessarily comfortable with outside of Brian Dozier, who's having a ridiculously down season. I do expect him to turn it around. So I agree. That is one off.
Did you see? You see the Brewers are. There's like talks that they might get a package deal with Dozier and Gibson.
Oh wow! No kidding.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. But
yeah, it could be what Dozier needs. Maybe a little change of scenery to get him going there.
Yeah.
I used to love playing Dozier last year, man. Loved it. Him and Kinsler. I used to love those leadoff second basemen that would just start off with a home run off the bat, at a weak position every day.
Yeah.
Used to love it.
That changed.
But yeah, on the Red Sox, usual suspects: Mookie, Benintendi, JD, Mitch Moreland, Bogarts. We'll do the profiles to try to narrow it down, but the Red Sox certainly look attractive. Ranger Suarez, the lefty from the Philadelphia Phillies, visiting Tyler Mahle of the Cincinnati Reds. Total in this game currently sits at 9.5. Cincinnati minus 120 in Great American Small Park. 79 degrees, 64% humidity. What are you doing with these mystery Reds?
I'm trying to look this guy up because I didn't have him either. But let's see here. Yeah, so I mean, Miley against these Phillies here. I think it's a scenario where I would probably lean. It's tough because he's at 6K. There's interesting strikeout appeal here against the Phillies here, but I think the ballpark and just like Miley's like tendency to give up hard contact, I think is enough for probably me to favor the Phillies side here. I would probably look at like Hoskins, Herrera, Santana. Franco's been waking up slightly, and Nick Williams here. But yeah, I mean, I'll have to look into it a little bit more. I don't know if I would necessarily write off Miley here in this spot just because he has had good games, and he's pretty cheap. So he's probably one of the first guys that I've been looking at, or the first guy I looked at that like has kind of caught my eye. They let him pitch like pretty deep into games if he's doing well. He had 12 Ks against the Brewers, so we've seen him have strikeout upside here. And against the Phillies, I think it's probably a comparable matchup to the Brewers in terms of like strikeout upside paired with risk. So I think you could maybe do it. I'll have to look into it a little bit more, but I'd write down Miley. I'd also take a look at like 2 through 6 for the Phillies as well. Ranger Suarez, he has a cool name. I'm trying to pull him up here, but I cannot really find. He's not even popping up in the player search on Brooks. So I do not know much about him. You're usually the guy who helps me out with these young dudes.
Yeah, it looks like from what we see, very good ERA, pretty good xFIP in Double-A. He spent most of his time in Double-A. Recently got a promotion to Triple-A. He's only had 3 starts in Triple-A, but he had 12 in Double-A. Not showing a ton of K upside at all. Only a 6, anywhere from 6 to 7 on his K per 9. Really not a lot. Doesn't walk a ton of people either. Doesn't give up home runs really. Ground ball rate is decent, around 50-ish. In Double-A, he had a 3.74 xFIP across 12 starts with a 2.76 ERA. So he looks like one of those guys that pitches to contact. Doesn't really get blown up. Doesn't have a ton of K upside, but also doesn't really get blown up either. Another young pitcher against the Reds. What do you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but they just Flaherty did pretty well today too. Just gave up a couple home runs, right? But struck out like 9 or 10. I
Yeah.
think.
No, he did. He could have went more. I mean, they pulled him for offensive purposes, but he only had 80 something pitches. He could have kept going. I wish he
Yeah.
did.
So, um, what's this guy's price on? It doesn't even have a price.
No, yeah, I
He's
don't
not
know.
even he's not even on DraftKings right now.
Yeah.
So maybe he'll be 4K, 5K. I don't know, but I mean, if we get indication that like he's stretched out enough where he's going to be going 5, 6 innings against the Reds. I mean, it seems like they've been struggling here recently. They just had a 3, 4 game series against the Cardinals, and that weak bullpen, they couldn't really do anything against them. A couple like rookie pitchers. This is a very similar scenario to that. Suarez could probably neutralize some of those lefties, but pretty much the only guy I'd worry about would be Eugenio Suarez for sure versus a lefty. He's been continuing to hit, but that's about it. Duval at 3.72, I think you could take a peek at.
Yeah. The Reds just haven't been so attractive. This guy, Ranger Suarez, again, not a lot of K upside, so the Reds should be able to put the ball in play. Not a good ballpark for a pitcher like that. But the Reds, I mean, it seems like the right team outside of, like you said, Suarez. Duval hit a home run today, but the rest of these guys just haven't looked good. So we can't pitch Ranger Suarez, but we don't have to play the Reds. That's one thing we can choose to do. And as far as Tyler Miley, I kind of agree. At 6K, I think he's at least worth a look. Miley's a guy that throws a lot of fastball, so you're going to want to see how well some of these Phillies hit the fastball. Odubel Herrera doesn't seem to hit this velocity all that well, but obviously he's having a great year. And then obviously you got to worry about guys like Rhys Hoskins, who had a home run today. Some of these other guys, but I agree with you. I think Miley is in consideration if the profiles match. It is a bad park. The Phillies are one of those teams that do present very high risk, high reward when attacking them. They can strike out a ton, but they also have some power. So similar to one of those teams like your Brewers. Although I think the Brewers have more power. I got you, Cam. Next up, Steven Strasburg of the Washington Nationals visiting Dan Straley of the Miami Marlins. Total here is 8. Miami plus 170 at home. Obviously, they'll probably close the roof like they do on most nights. What do you got?
Yeah, so the Nats woke up a little bit against the Brewers today. Harper, Soto hit a home run, I believe, as well. Going up against Straley, I mean, it's a bad ballpark for sure for any hitter here. So that automatically just kind of takes me off a lot of these guys for the Nationals here. They've seen Straley a lot and haven't really hit him all that well either, which is a little bit of a concern. The price 6.2, I don't think there's a lot of like strikeout ability, but Straley has had games where he's done decent and the price tag isn't really asking much. He's put up 21 against the Brewers, 19 against the Rays, 21 against the D-backs, and 18 against the Mets in his last 6. So, I mean, he's been doing it. It's a pretty good ballpark to pitch in, and I mean, this Nats lineup's scary, but we've seen them. They just haven't really been doing it all that much. I'm not necessarily saying that I would go to Straley, but I get it if someone would do it in like a bigger field GPP or something like that. In terms of Strasburg, 12K, just got really beat up by the Braves last time out. Pretty much say it all the time, like, it's really tough for these ace pitchers against the Marlins to like pay off their price tag, like 12 plus K against these guys. They're just a team that's not like good really, but they put the ball in play enough where the strikeout ability is down, and they just kind of nickel and dime you. They might not hit home runs, but I mean, if they get a hit here and there, a walk here and there, like it adds up. And at 12K, it's tough to pay off the price tag against them. Like it's one of those weird things where you don't really want to believe it, but it just continues to happen whenever you play an ace against them. So I'll probably pass on Strasburg again and try and get in those Yankees bets.
Yeah, I agree. Not really interested in paying $12K for Strasburg. I think he will be the most popular pitcher on the slate, as the most expensive guy he typically is. Don't like picking on Miami. I'll do it in certain situations, like if there's a good price or if there's a particular pitch the guy throws that I think he has an edge. But I'm not really into Strasburg. Only with his second game back from injury, didn't look so hot in the first one, or did he have more?
Yeah,
Either way, didn't look hot like against the
I think
Braves.
just one.
Yeah, just one. So again, we don't have a ton of pitching, but I think we have some guys that we could take a chance that we could take chances on at cheaper prices. Not really into Strauss either, although would it surprise me if he went out there and dominated the Marlins? Absolutely not. He's a very talented pitcher, probably the best arm on the slate, or at least by far the best arm we've seen. I guess there's a couple other guys. He's the best arm on the slate. There's no question about that. So he's got that going for him. Good ballpark. As far as Straley at 6'2", I don't typically like to attack the Nationals with pitchers because they don't strike out a lot. Straley has been pretty good lately. The last bad game he had was against these Nationals. However, that was in Washington. This one will be at home in Miami, which is an even bigger park with a closed roof most likely. Against a Nationals team that is still struggling. I know they had a good game today, but that's been what they do. They erupt one day and they go cold for the next 3 or 4 days again. So I think in an ideal world, you can look at a Bryce Harper, a Soto, an Adams, maybe a Murphy or an Eaton, but until they really start clicking and go on that hot streak, it's just hard to back them when you have other options. Next up, Rich Hill of the Los Angeles Dodgers visiting Anibal Sanchez of the Atlanta Braves. Total here is 9, Atlanta plus 115 at home, 88 degrees, 38% humidity. What do you got here?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna take Cahill here at that's weird. At 9-2, going up against the Braves. They actually hit lefties pretty decent. Now with Acuna back in the lineup as well, it's gonna make it a lot tougher. Their matchup versus lefties. So I'll pass on Rich Hill. I think you could make a case for a Brave stack. It just seems like when the Braves score a lot of runs, it's never in a way that really produces a ton of fantasy points to the point where it's going to win you a tournament or something. It seems like they always like their whole lineup produces, which then gets them 10 runs. It's never 3 or 4 guys hitting a home run all in one game. So I would still definitely favor the Yankees, but I wouldn't shy away from taking some of these Braves bats, like Acuna. I still think Freeman's okay. Markakis has been hitting lefties well. Suzuki at 3.6. I like that price tag for sure. So I think some of these guys are definitely viable, just not a top priority for me if I was going to be making one team. And then on the other side, Anibal Sanchez, I mean, he's been good this year, 24% strikeout rate, but I would play Dodgers for sure against them or against him. I think you could probably play every single bat in that Dodgers lineup. They look really good. And it's Anibal Sanchez. He could troll us. He's been pretty good this year. I just like the Dodgers bats regardless of matchup for the most part, unless if they're facing a really good pitcher or something. But I would take a shot on them.
Yeah, this is a great park for the Dodger lefties. Yasmani Grandal's been red hot. Muncie's been hot. Peterson's been hot. All their lefties, except for Cody Bellinger, have been hitting the ball really well. And even some of the righties, like Chris Taylor, have been hitting the ball well. So I initially, when I look at this, I do like the Dodgers. It's a huge park upgrade for them. It's pretty good hitting weather down in Atlanta. Going to be warm. Again, the problem is, like you said, Anibal has been kind of a troll this year. He's actually been pretty good. So I'm going to have to look at the profiles. My initial reaction is to, I like the Dodgers. But we got to look at the profiles. One thing about the Dodgers is when it comes to pitch types, if there are certain pitches they don't hit well. And if they're in that situation and the pitcher's got some decent stuff going, we can see them K a lot too. So Anibal Sanchez, 8-3. I really don't think anybody's going to go there in terms of playing him. Again, my initial reaction, my initial instinct is to want to play these Dodgers. They've been good to me so far lately. But at the same time, from a game theory perspective, understand that maybe because their prices aren't too bad, people levitate there. And Anibal has been really good this year. So just something to keep in mind. Even if you're not looking to play Anibal, have a consideration. Maybe it'll back us off some of these Dodgers. Maybe instead of a full stack, we just do a couple.
So what you were saying, He does work primarily a fastball, but then he works the slider and the changeup off of that fastball, which like we know this team struggled with. So I mean, we'll see. It might be enough to take them off because we've just talked about. I mean, we've talked about it before. Dodgers versus certain pitches, so definitely one that we'll have to look at tomorrow. Just a quick glance at Annabelle there, though.
Yeah, definitely. And as far as Rich Hill, I'm with you. Not interested. I don't want to pay 9-2 for Rich Hill against the Braves. Not in this ballpark. The Braves have actually been pretty good against lefties. I know both their best hitters are left-handed, but still, somehow, when you look at the numbers, they've been pretty good. And either way, they don't strike out a lot. Just not exciting to pay 9-2 for Rich Hill. Plus, how are we going to stack the Yankees if we're paying 9-2 for Rich Hill?
Yeah, exactly.
Next up, Trevor Cahill of the Oakland Athletics visiting Bartolo Colon, the GOAT of the Texas Rangers. Total in this game, 11.5. Texas plus 121. At home, 102 degrees in Arlington. And the Rangers just blew another lead. Chris Davis double-donging with a two-run homer.
He double-donged?
He just hit a second home run to take the lead. The A's are now winning 6-5. Second day in a row. Texas had a pretty decent lead, and they blew it. What do you got?
Well, my night would have been really good if James Shields didn't start just sucking major ass.
Oh yeah, he just fell apart. He just fell apart real quick.
Yeah, got it. You had to expect it, right?
Oh yeah, it's James Shields, bro. It's chalk, bro.
Would have been nice if I could have like snuck like a 18 from James Shields, but now we'll have to eat the 6.
Yeah, eat the 6.
Just pull him now. Yeah. So I mean. Like looking at Cahill, he's got a 13.2% swinging strike rate, 24% K rate. Looks pretty good. And that last start he had was at home. He pitched pretty well against the Giants, but I think just off of memory here, I think he's like an extreme home road splits guy. So he actually has like a sub 1 ERA, I believe, that might have gone up a little bit more. But I think it was like a sub 1 ERA at home, and then it jumps to like 6 or 7 when he's on the road here. So clearly in the spot he's on the road in Texas, 102 degrees. I think Cahill might be somewhat popular. I think he was popular last time against the Giants, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is a scenario where he was popular, and I think potentially you could take some of these Rangers bats against him, maybe as leverage, just because it's such a good hitting conditions, and Cahill has been getting torched on the road. Not really sure what that's all about, but it's pretty significant. So I think it's something to note, and these Rangers bats can definitely produce high fantasy outcome games. So I don't mind that there. And then on the other side, like Bartolo, you can definitely stack all these bats against him, and you just get the fact that you get this Rangers bullpen again. Like you just said, they just blew another lead. Like they're really bad. So I mean, even if they don't get to Bartolo in the first 4 or 5 innings, they still could score like 6 runs against the bullpen just because they're that bad. Chris Davis has just been on fire in Texas, and this whole team just in general has been on fire. So I think you could definitely stack up the A's. The problem is they're probably going to be really popular again. So maybe hopefully Big Sexy can troll some A's tomorrow. Something.
Oh yeah, man. These are 2 teams. Excuse me. Late on the East Coast. These are 2 teams that can hit sinkers really well. These are also 2 teams that always play well in this stadium. Who doesn't, right? I agree. Cahill at 9 not 9-9, not interested against these Rangers. Again, guys like Joey Gallo, Sin-Soo or Dor, they all hit the sinker well. You mentioned his home and road splits. And this is like not just a road game. This is like basically being in Coors, but on a for a whole different standpoint. It's gonna be really hot.
Yeah,
it gets uncomfortable for some of these guys. Bartolo, it's just hard to pick on the A's. Is it possible that he can go out there and troll them? Sure, but it's just really hard to see that the way the A's have been playing, unless they throw out some horrible watered down lineup for some reason. They're just really hot right now. Not a team I really want to pick on. They've been good against righties all year. Guys like Matt Olson come to life. Chris Davis, like you said, has just been red hot. Jed Lowry, we prefer against righties anyway. Chapman can hit righties. Piscotty can hit righties. This guy, Nick Martini, has actually been doing pretty well for them so far. I'm with you, man. This is just, again, it's going to be very popular, but it's hard not to like this on both sides. Maybe the Rangers probably come in a little lower owned because of Trevor Cahill. Even if people don't play him, people do respect him. But I think the Rangers are fine in this particular spot. I really do. I think I like them as an offense for sure. I probably lean towards them a little bit more over the A's because of the ownership. They have the same exact upside. Well, I guess you got a point there with the Rangers bullpen backing up Bartolo. But aside from that, man, yeah, I'm with you, man. There's definitely some good offenses here.
Yeah, Cahill has. I just looked it up quick because I wanted to make sure I wasn't talking incorrectly. But yeah, Cahill has a .8 ERA at home this year in 33 innings, and in 24 innings on the road, he has a 5.92 ERA. So really significant there, which is interesting. I'd have to look into like the matchups a little bit more to see if there's like noise in that or something, but something to note just like first look.
Yeah, for sure. Last game, Cam, we got Wade Miley, the lefty of your Milwaukee Brewers, visiting Derek Rodriguez, son of Pudge Rodriguez of Johnny Boys, Freak Modes, San Francisco Giants. Total in this game is 8. San Francisco minus 120 at home, 59 degrees, 90% humidity. What are you doing with your boys?
Yeah, I mean, weirdly enough, I think I could pitch Derek Rodriguez tomorrow at 7-9. I like watched his first couple starts, and it's like one of those guys that you're not gonna want to pitch if you just like look at his numbers, right? I mean, he has a 19% K percentage, 8.9% swinging strike rate. Not like a lot of flashy stuff there, but like I watched him pitch, and like, you know, sometimes when you watch guys pitch, you just like, you're like, oh, you think that guy's good or whatever. He was one of those guys that I watched him pitch, and I just thought he looked like he knew what he was doing out there. So I always kind of have like a little bit of a bias for him. So I'll probably look at him tomorrow. I don't mind the price tag at 7-9 in San Francisco, pitching at home, and definitely against like a Milwaukee team that we've seen can strike out a lot. So it's interesting. It's never like fun going up against the Brewers just because they have a pretty talented lineup, but I could maybe do it tomorrow at 7-9 just with the lack of options. And at 6-6, Wade Miley here. I feel like the Giants are another one of those teams. Like I talked about with the Rays at home, they're just a lot better at home in their ballpark. I think the Rays were like the 5th best team in terms of weighted runs created, and the Giants were like 4th. So 4th at home. So this is like a sneaky, like little hidden spot where like people might try to use Wade Miley or something, and I think maybe I just back away with him. But I've talked about it a couple times on the podcast before. Like the Brewers have said that they've seen like improvements in Miley this year with like his mechanics and like his ability to replicate all of his pitches consistently and stuff, which I think is why you've seen less him like showing the ability to be less blow up prone and showing you consistent like results in the 10 to 15 point DraftKings range. So I don't know if I get crazy and like really play either side here. It's just kind of unappealing to me.
Yeah, I agree, man. There's just not a ton to like from this game in general. I think that Derek Rodriguez could certainly be in consideration. He's pitched well. We saw the Brewers right now just seem to be in a funk. Maybe they get it going. They do have, I think they have Aguilar back, right? Thames and Aguilar are both back, right? So yeah, just a matter of time before those guys start going again. But in the meantime, it's a great park. Derek Rodriguez is coming off some decent games. 7-9 is not a terrible price. Kind of expensive for him. He doesn't have a ton of K upside, but when you're playing the Brewers, sometimes you do get a little bit of a boost when they're in their funk, and right now they kind of are in a little bit of a funk. Tanner Roark went out there. He's been horrible, and he went out there and had a get-right game. So I agree with you. Maybe we can look at him. Nothing to do backflips over, but enough to grab your attention on a slate where we don't really have a ton of obvious pitching choices we like. And then Wade Miley is 6'6", good price. The Giants don't have a ton of strikeout upside. You got to have some really good stuff. One pitch that I know that they struggle with is actually the curveball. However, it looks like Wade Miley does not throw. Okay, he does throw them to lefties. He throws them to lefties, but he doesn't really throw it to righties. But that is a pitch the Giants that I try to keep an eye on. Like when guys like James Paxton, some of these guys that have a nasty curveball, that is one pitch the Giants do have high whiff rates on. But Miley's isn't very dominant, and he doesn't really throw it enough to garner too much attention. So I'll probably back off of that. At the same time, it's always kind of hard to want to play the Giants. They're just not very good when you have so many other good options. So I think Rodriguez, and that's probably it for me also. That is going to do it for the game-by-game portion of the podcast. At this point, I'm going to remind everybody, if you haven't already, check us out at y6.com. I don't know what you're waiting for. Come join the nation. Pretty much working everything. We got golf about to kick off soon. Cash, all the Golf Y Stream article, all that stuff is up. He's been murdering golf, and he's been doing well in NASCAR too. Our baseball content's been on fire. We had guys this morning win pretty well in the early slate. It sounds like some of us are doing pretty well in the main slate, like you, Cam. Leave it on a shitty slate, making it work. So come rock with us, see what we got. We do have the strategy session tomorrow. It'll be Thursday about 1 o'clock with Paulie D running things. So we'll actually go there, and basically what you guys do, if you don't know what it is Paulie will share his screen and basically do his entire research with you. Most of the research. There's a lot of stuff we look at later when lineups come out. But about 1 p.m. Eastern, Paulie pulls up his screen. He shares it. There's a chat feature involved. Just go to y6.com. You don't have to be a member. And it's interactive. You can ask questions, talk amongst the other members of our community, and really get your research in, man. Some people listen to it while they're at work or whatever the case is. They're working on something around the house, and they just kind of put it in their ear, and then they're getting all the research kind of told to them right there. It's really a cool thing. Obviously, all the other content going to do its thing as well. We got the Cam's cheat sheets, very popular cheat sheets. Everybody loves Cam's cheat sheets. We're going to have the Y Stream an hour and a half before lock, which is similar to this. A show like this, after we've done our research, we actually, whoever's on the show actually tells them what they're really on. And of course, we have the GPP articles, cash game articles, expert poll, which is awesome. A lot of great things. You're really missing out if you're not a part of this community. It's an awesome community, and our members are great, man. We got some great personalities in that chat every day. $2.50. All it costs gets you a day pass. Don't waste time. Don't waste money. Just come. Make the investment. It's worth it. All right, Cam, time for some top threes, bro. Top three pitchers. What do you think?
That's tough. Yeah, dude, this sucks. Sonny Gray, I guess, but that feels dirty. Holy crap. Sonny Gray, Derek Rodriguez, and Brian Johnson.
Ooh, yeah. It's ugly, man. It is. Okay. So, Sonny Gray. Yeah, Sonny Gray is going to be so damn popular. Sonny Gray, man, all that shit I talked about Strasburg, really feeling it right now. Like, really, really feeling it right now. But I'll go Sonny Gray. I'll go with Derek Rodriguez also. And then, oh, God, I don't want to do that. I don't have a choice. I guess Tyler Malley. Oh my God, this is gonna be rough. We'll have to see. Strategy session gonna be super important tomorrow. Nation, those of you who are subscribed, don't miss this one. This one's gonna be an important one. We got to dig in on these pitchers. Top three stacks, Cam.
Yankees. Dodgers and Rangers.
I'll go with the Yankees, Red Sox, and Rangers. Very similar take. Dong wash time, Cam. Who's hitting the home run tomorrow?
Aaron Judge.
I like that call. I do. I will go with let's get some Let's get some Roned Odor action.
All right. Manny Machado.
I like that as well. Let's go with. Let's go with JD Martinez. See if we can keep the streak going. A little more of an obvious one.
All right. I'll just do it then. Chris Davis.
Somebody had to. We couldn't just leave him there. With the tear he's on, you can't just kind of leave him there. Just
Yeah. He's automatically in your lineup tomorrow.
Yeah, you gotta have at least one with that dude.
You've been playing him like the last 4 days.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have to
You're not gonna leave the heater. I'll go with Joey Gallo, the Rangers. Wrap it up. And that is going to do it for the Wise Take DFS podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please click that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on Facebook, give us a like and a share to support the Wise Take Nation. If you're watching on Twitch or Twitter, give us a follow, give us a retweet, show us some love. And if you're listening to us on Podbean or iTunes, give us some 5-star reviews. Help us up those charts. All these things mean a lot to us. So whatever platform you're using, the least you can do is show a little bit of love our way. That's all we're asking you to do. Maybe pass her name around once in a while a little bit. Tell them how swell guys that we really are. And, yeah, do the right thing. Hook us up. Whatever you're watching us or listening to us on, show us some love. It means a lot to us. Helps keep the show going. Cam, anything in closing before we get up out of here?
Not much. James Shields did it again. Could have been a pretty good night tonight, but that 4 is gonna hurt. I was hoping for like a 16 or something from him, but hey, it is what it is.
Hey, man.
We'll move on to tomorrow. Didn't expect much from a 4-game slate, right?
Oh man, forget about it. Really, a 3-game slate. We knew that range,
Yeah, that's true. I thought it honestly might be 2 games.
Yeah, the way it was looking with the Coors forecast too. Yeah, it's true.
Because they had flash flood warnings or something before the game, so I was like, that game's.
And what do you know? It went off without a hitch. What do you know?
Yeah.
All right, Nation. That's going to do it. For KamG333s, for myself, the entire Wise Take Nation, as always, good luck.
Yeah.